The biggest purchases of our lives, they all come with a price tag. But what if that price tag is, well, kind of lying to you? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain and uncover the real cost of those major decisions. And trust me, it's probably not what you think. To do this, we're going to look at two case studies that seem like they're from completely different worlds. On one side, we've got this heavy-duty piece of industrial logging equipment, a skidder. And on the other, a family home. One's a business asset, the other is a personal dream, right?
But what could these two massive purchases possibly have in common? Well, the answer reveals this really powerful way of thinking that honestly applies to almost any big financial decision you'll ever have to make.
So, to kick things off, we're going to look at this through the expert's lens. We'll dive into how professionals analyze a huge investment like this, and we're using a super detailed report from the USDA Forest Service all about costing industrial machinery.
Now, for years, the standard way to figure out the cost of a machine like our skidder was this pretty straightforward formula. They called it a machine rate. It was simple, something you could do on a calculator, and it gave you a basic cost per hour. Easy enough.
Yeah, but here's the problem. Simple doesn't always mean accurate. That old method, it has some pretty serious flaws. For one, it completely ignores the power of compound interest. It gets kind of fuzzy on taxes. And it just pretends that costs are the same year after year, which we know is not how the real world works. Finance is just way more dynamic than that.
So, naturally, professionals needed a better tool. And what they use now is something called discounted cash flow analysis. It's a much more sophisticated way of looking at all the money coming in and all the money going out over the entire life of the asset. And crucially, it accounts for one of the most important ideas in finance, that a dollar today is worth more than a dollar tomorrow.
And this whole method is built on that one foundational concept, the time value of money. The key takeaway is this: money you have right now is more powerful than the exact same amount in the future. Why? Because you can invest it today and let it grow. And believe me, that one single idea changes absolutely everything about how we value a big, long-term purchase.
Okay, so how does this professional-grade, heavy-duty financial thinking actually apply to us? Well, let's pivot from the world of heavy machinery to a financial crossroads many of us will face, buying a home, and specifically, the great down payment debate.
This whole part of the discussion really got sparked by a simple but pretty deep question on a personal finance forum. Someone was about to buy their first home, and they wanted to know if they should grind for another year to save up a massive down payment, or if a smaller one would be okay. It's a question pretty much every home buyer asks.
And this comment from a user named JMM123 just cuts right to the chase. They bring up this absolutely critical concept, opportunity cost. That extra cash you might sink into a down payment isn't just sitting there safe. It's money that could have been out in the world, working for you.
So opportunity cost, it's really about the potential profit you give up when you lock your money into one choice, in this case, your home's equity, instead of putting it into another, like, say, a portfolio of stocks or bonds. It's the road not taken, financially speaking.
So as you can see, there's no easy, one-size-fits-all answer here. A bigger down payment means you borrow less and you have a lower monthly bill, for sure. But a smaller down payment? That frees up your cash for those other opportunities we talked about, and it can get you into a house much faster. It's this constant trade-off between security on one hand and potential growth on the other.
So, how do we make this decision? This is where that cold, hard logic we learned from our logging skidder comes back to help us out. What we need to do is find the tipping point. That exact moment an investment, whether it's a giant machine or a house, really starts to pay for itself.
For the business owner, the goal is crystal clear. They need to calculate the break-even charge-out rate. That's just a fancy way of saying the absolute minimum price they have to charge for every single hour that skidder is running, just to cover all its costs and make a decent return on their investment.
You can almost picture it on this graph. As that hourly rate they charge goes up, the investment's return goes from being in the red to being in the black. And that exact spot, that point where it crosses the line from being a loss to a gain, that's it. That's the break-even point. It's the threshold for success. And the analysis gives us a hard number. For this specific skidder with these specific costs, the magic number is $43.81 an hour. If you charge anything less, you're actually losing money in the long run. You charge more, and now you're building wealth.
This brings us all the way back to our personal dilemma. I mean, if a machine has a financial break-even point, what in the world does that look like for a homeowner?
Well, for a homeowner, break-even isn't about profit per hour, it's about sustainability. It's that point where your total housing costs, your mortgage, your taxes, insurance, all of it, don't swallow up your paycheck. It's where you can comfortably build equity without being financially stressed, leaving you with enough cash to save, handle emergencies, and, actually enjoy your life. That's your threshold of financial comfort.
So whether you're out there buying industrial machinery or you're just looking for your first home, the underlying logic is exactly the same. Let's boil this all down into 3 core principles you can add to your own financial toolkit.
First, always consider the time value of money. Second, constantly weigh the opportunity cost. Every single time ask yourself, what else could this money be doing for me? And third, find your break-even point. You have to know what success looks like for your investment, whether that's an hourly rate for a machine or a monthly budget you can actually live with.
So, the next time you're facing a major purchase, don't just stare at the price tag. Think like an analyst. Think about time, think about opportunity, and think about your personal break-even. Because understanding the true cost, that's the very first step toward making a truly great investment.